And Valhalla! There's trim and guns everywhere. We eat steak-flavored clouds and poop secrets!
But you're not even dead! You're a woman!
And you're a tool, boy. A tool! Built for a single purpose by the United States of shut your third damn eye for a fucking reason. You can't teach a hammer to love nails, son. That dog don't hunt!
Hi, welcome to Venture Bros. Be your host as always, Bryan Dressel. With me as always is Graham Mason.
Hello, it's me.
And Nick Friedemann. That was so much better than mine.
I
not
practice
really in the mood for nicknames
all the time.
Yeah. So do I, but from a different hole. Hole just sounds wrong.
Yeah, I'm really upset that you said that.
So is everyone in their cars. Yeah, I was gonna do nicknames today. You know what? We're doing 3 episodes today. I'll do nicknames to the first and the third. The second one gets fart noises. And I'm standing by that decision. I think it was the right one.
Yeah. I was thinking a good nickname for Nick would be Nick Name.
Yeah.
Damn. Tune in next week for that amazing nickname. I like that one. Now I gotta think of one for Graham. I'll think about it. I have a whole episode to think about to record the third one. So today, we are talking about the last regular episode of Season 2 before the finale. Penultimate episode, if you will. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the finale, so it really, whatever. It's Viva las Muertos. And it is basically if Venture Brothers were going to do Frankenstein. And that's it. So I went last week. Who wants to say everything that happens in this episode? This one should be a little easier than last week.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Go for it.
Okay. So basically, Dr. Venture reanimates a dead henchman of the Monarchs, and then Brok kills him again, and then reanimates him with a different scalp. And that's pretty much the whole episode for Venturestein is figuring out, like, Dr. Venture's trying to figure out how to, like, then monetize this new invention that he's made by selling it to the army. As that's going on, he also tries to educate him in one of the learning beds, which doesn't really work. Then these Scooby-Doo-esque, but definitely not Scooby-Doo, people come onto the property looking for a mystery, which seems to be coded sort of home invasion robbery bits, but I'm not quite sure. They're just some weird, creepy, sad cult. And they invade the thing, and then the guy who's the representative for Shaggy runs into the boys, and it turns out that he has killed the boys and one of the boys' clones in the past, and is freaking out, and hilarity ensues. Oh, and Brok feels bad about murder for the first time.
Well, because we'll get into it. But,
yes.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything. The one thing that I have to say, beyond everything else, the Scooby-Doo gang in this thing creeps the fuck out of me.
Yes.
That was the one thing you missed, is that not Shaggy and not Scooby. The dog can legitimately talk this time, and he is like a voice of the devil, and it just horrifies poor not Shaggy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
All right. Where do you guys want to start on this one? What do you think is the... What do you want to do, a hot take? What do you guys think? Big fans, not big fans?
When I first saw this episode, it's good. It's funny. I like the humor against Scooby-Doo gang and all that other stuff. But it wasn't my favorite, and it didn't really have a lot at stake in it. Now,
sure.
Going through the rest of it and coming back, this episode has a lot of staying power with all of its references to later episodes. So then now it kind of re-solidifies this as a better and I think we've said it before. It's like sometimes the episodes that really set up a lot and have a lot of stuff, in them are not the best or funniest episodes, but they're entirely integral to the over arc of the whole show. I think that's where this one fits in.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this episode, and I'm not sure if it has anything to really do with what you're saying, it might, is that this is the only episode, at least from what I can tell, that wasn't written by Public and Hammer.
Yeah.
I think that definitely says a lot of like why, like, this one might have some universe building, but it was everything they pulled from it was things that they just liked about the episode. So if they didn't like it, it just never came back. So like the Scooby Gang, they might have been great in this thing, but it kind of explains why they don't ever pop up again, which is kind of for the best. I think they were used as much as they could be.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, I'm looking at the book right now as we're recording, and even Jackson Public's like, Ben is the guy who wrote it. Ben is the only person that he would ever let write an episode.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's an all-around good episode, and I think it's a funny episode. But the major thing that comes up in this one that I think is kind of a good place to start, because it's probably the biggest like world impact, is this when the boys find their clones.
Yes.
It's one of those things where like it's any other show would have handled this very differently, and it would have handled it more of how they first start handling it, where they're having like the, I don't know, I just saw my clone coma reaction. And this one, they just kind of go with, yeah, we could do that, or we could just say fuck it. And this one just 100% goes for fuck it.
Yeah. In a very Dr. Venture-y way of like, dang it, you ruined your surprise.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny, actually, we glossed over this last episode when I think Dean asked, you're like, wait, well, why don't we remember Myra at all before? And then Brock's like, well, that's because you're close.
Yeah.
Because, oh boy. And then it just like drops off right there. And then now we're full face looking at this stuff. And I think Dr. Venture does the best that he can as a doctor who's created a whole army of clones for his sons to be like, I'm whittling my finger at you, you stinkers. Go wash off that shenanigans.
I would say it's probably the smoothest he's been so far in the show.
Yes.
Like, his thinking on his feet is better at this one part than I would say anywhere else.
Agreed.
Because he knows his audience. He knows what his audience would want to hear, and he does it in just the perfect way where it's like, all right, I can buy this. My dad's a super scientist. He makes clones. All right, he wanted to give me a clone army. That's pretty cool. I ruined the surprise. And like, he knew his kids were just dumb enough to believe it, which is saying something about him as a dad, but whatever.
Yep. Well, I think that it's like he has a good quote-unquote dad moment, but I think largely because it's completely self-serving.
Yeah. But moving beyond there, the one thing that I love in this episode, it's got to be the main crux of it. It's Venturestein. Like, Venturestein is such a fun little, mostly one episode character, because he does come back, but he's so different. I'd argue they're basically different characters.
Well, I mean, he grows and learns, and
Sure, but if you had never seen this episode and you just dropped into that one, you wouldn't be lost. You would not be going, where the hell did this come from? Because there's so many of those things like, well, Venture did it in the past, that it's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna kind of just go for the ride. So if you had missed this one, it's not like you were just totally fucked when he comes back, like some of the other characters you might be. Because they really don't try to like reintroduce Henry Killinger. Like, they do somewhat for the boys and for Dr. Venture, but not really. Like, if you were there in last week's episode, you're going to be fine next time. Whereas this one, as if you weren't, it'd still be a little lost. Where this one, if you're not here for this one, the next time he comes back, it's no big deal. And I think that's just because they don't really ever give him a character. Like, he's not really much of anything other than just a gag. But I think that's why I like him as much as I do in this episode.
Well, I mean, at the end of the episode, he kind of begins to be his own character.
Well,
Yeah.
Shoe! Yeah, they're not going to give it up for a shoe that you made out of a dog.
yeah, he starts working on doing something, I guess.
He really likes prostitutes, I'm just saying.
He likes prostitute.
Prostitute.
Oh boy.
I took notes on this one because like even as I was watching it, like this one's kind of a tough one to kind of keep going on. I think that I think the strongest part of this episode is the opening through Venturestein's eyes.
Yes.
It's different than what they've done before. It really stands out because it's all red because you're seeing it like through his his henchman goggles. You get a great moment between 21 and 24, where you're hearing the monarch telling them what they're all gonna do, like descend on the sky, like the sky flowers that you are. And 21 asks 24, like, does that make you feel a little gay? And 24's response is, you, sir, are a big gay. It's like I love those little like moments that we've always like we bring up every time because they're just such wonderful little things. But beyond the opening, I think this episode, not to be totally rude, is a bit of a snooze fest. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like I like it. I really do like it, but it's fine.
It's weird because I really like the vibe of this. It does feel within the realm of the Venture Brothers, but also it's just kind of like the darker side of that world. But the interesting thing to me is it's of the 5 people in the Scooby gang, 3 of them to me are really interesting, which is the dog, the Shaggy representative, who's the main guy?
Fred.
What's his name?
Fred.
What?
Fred.
I think it's
Fred.
Ted is what they call him here.
Yeah.
Ted in this, yeah.
Fred, but then like Velma and Louise, are those their names? No, that can't be right.
Velma and something, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, the 2 of them feel very underrepresented outside of like 2 or 3 moments, and they're super sad. Like they're honestly, the vibe of the whole thing is really depressing.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
alarmingly depressing.
Yeah. I like their moments, but
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to spend... I hear what you're saying of like, we don't get to spend too much time with them, but I really don't want to spend any more time with them at all.
Yeah.
Ted,
They're bleak.
Ted, you said we were going to go visit my mom. This was on the way.
Yeah.
We're heading to my mom's place for the past 10 years. Like, oh god.
Oh god.
Like, it's one of those where like I don't want to know a lot of what they were thinking for this one because I like my own theories of like Public and Hammer just really fucking hate Scooby-Doo. Like that's what I take out of this. And I don't know if that's the case especially because they didn't write it, but
Yeah.
or maybe Ben just really hates Scooby-Doo because this just feels like, what if Scooby-Doo just never stopped solving mysteries? Like, how fucked up would they be 10 years later, 20 years later? And this is your answer. Really fucked up.
I mean, I don't know if it comes from a deep hate as so much of like just an interest of like, what would happen if they just didn't stop? I mean, they are children's of the 60s, 70s era, and you know, his Scooby at some point, his Scooby snacks would turn into, or Shaggy snacks or whatever, would turn into prescription pills just to shut the voices out. Like, yeah. And then Velma being, you know, the kind of 5th wheel, I guess.
Kind of. Yeah.
Would be like, yeah, maybe she's a lesbian, and maybe she's got some pretty heavy feminist views. And you bet your ass at some point she's probably going to hit on the other one. And just her response of just, don't.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
It's fucking crushing.
And it's just...
And
we don't do this a lot in Venture Brothers, but like, it's more so in like the front half of the series versus the back half of the series. But it's like that whole, like, The Office used to do it a lot too. Like, it's so sad, it's funny, and it's like, not always. Like, I see what you're doing, and I can see why people do find the Scooby Gang really funny, but all they do is just kind of skeeve me out and just make me sad.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Especially in this one, where he's withholding medication until he finds a clue. But, like, why they're looking for clues at all, I haven't the slightest.
And
so
is clue just, a fake name for, like, a stereo? Like...
Right? Exactly. It does feel like they're just home invading. Like, it's... To me, it feels like they are treating it like a 60s, 70s cult as the Scooby Gang. Which makes sense to me.
Yes.
It's
totally
not
buy
that
it. Yeah,
far off.
that totally works. But it is just kind of weird weird and sad. Like, go find clues, a.k.a. their jewelry and money and prescription medicines. Like, that's what it sounds like. It's like, yeah, we're just robbing these people. We found an old spooky mansion and we're going to rob the fuck out of it.
Exactly. Ugh, depressing.
It is. And it's like, and the thing is, like, there is a version of this that's really funny and, like, slapsticky and ridiculous. And they went full Venture Brothers, which is like, all right, this is what you expect. We're not going to do that. And they went depressing, like, I don't even know. Like, it feels, ugh.
Very dark. Very, very dark.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you talk about slapstick, and they do throw in Scooby-Doo slapstick in there, in the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Venturestein is slipping on a corpse and, spinning, and then whoop, 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 like all the weird, silly sounds and stuff like that.
All, like the Scooby-Doo sounds, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, throughout
They
the
do it
entire
a few
episode.
times.
Yeah, which is hilarious, but it's just so twisted.
Yeah. I love it, but it's definitely a remarkably odd episode.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, when I say, like, I really enjoyed this episode and I love it, but it's just kind of fine. And I think it's like going back how we were last week, how everything mixed perfectly. This one does not mix well. Like, this is.
Yeah, I mean, like, they are. It's interesting because, like, two parts of the storyline, which is Venturestein and then Brok's kind of coming to grips with who he is as a person and then what he represents and kind of where he stands in kind of like as a tool of the US government and how many people he's killed and that guilt and blah, blah. Both of those combine in quite obvious ways, but also just thematically, which is just like dealing with death and life and blah, blah. And then you just have the cult, which feels not out of left field at all, but definitely not within the same realm as the other two storylines in the episode.
Yeah, it just happens to be happening at the same time. That's the only thing that they have in reference to each other. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I think we've talked about the cult a lot. I'd love to talk about the Dr. O and everybody else taking ayahuasca and, I don't know, going on some sort of spiritual journey.
Hot dolphin!
Hot dolphin.
Yeah.
I would say it's the funniest part of the episode. Like, just pretty much everything with Brok going, am I just a murderer? Like, or am I, like, doing a job and protecting people? Like, and the way he, like, kind of seeks Dr. O's help for that. All of that, I think, is the best stuff in this episode.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because, again, it's done with heart and understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and, yeah, we're talking about how dark this episode is. And this is kind of handled, I don't want to say darkly, but this dark theme is actually handled kind of with an understanding hand, but also with a little humor, right? When he's trying to, do his thing, but he feels all fucked up, and he's listening to music, and he's trying to throw knives into the wall and stuff like that, and he throws it right into his fucking stereo, and then it just happens to be raining, and just happens to be thunderstorming, and then he finally is turned, or is moved to turn to Dr. O to reach out for help, which we've all been in, not that specific situation, obviously. But, we've had dark stuff that pushes us to, reach out for help. And it's like, you can really relate to that, but it's kind of looking at it with kind of a humoristic side. And then, leading him into taking ayahuasca and having a weird fever dream about a hot dolphin.
Hot dolphin.
Yeah.
Hot dolphin.
I told this to Savon that I was like, the way the dream starts with like the dolphin kind of like start carrying him somewhere, and it just cuts to his face. He's like, all right, yeah. Like, I think about that all the time.
He's just having fun.
Yeah,
he is.
He's just going with it, They just go with the flow. That's what life's really all about.
Absolutely.
Here's my only thing with it, and as much as I do enjoy it, and I actually do think they do a pretty good job with Brok being somewhat grown up after this episode, I don't feel like they ever fully embrace the lessons he learned here.
No.
I will slightly disagree.
Okay.
Slightly. The big thing is we talked about planting the seeds for 21 kind of being his own person, like in growing up in last episode. I think it's the same here. I would say the difference is that the thing that I love about this show is that they don't have these forced moments of, oh, this character learns a lesson and now they're completely different. It takes them a while to kind of figure it out. And I think that you could argue all of next season, Brock's figuring it out, and then the end of the next season, he makes a big statement of what he is going to do with the rest of his life. And I think that's the big thing. Because it's not so much that he feels bad about murder. I think that he's realizing that he doesn't feel great about where he stands as a tool of the U.S. government. Like, there's the quote that, what's his name? Is it Manstrong? Colonel Manstrong? It's the one who turns into a woman and turns eventually back into a man.
Hunter. You're thinking Bud Manstrong.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Hunter. Hunter's like, you can't teach a hammer to love nails. And I think that what Brock's realizing is that he's a hammer that doesn't love nails.
Yeah.
So that's the revelation.
Also,
it's not so much the murder.
Yeah, he's a hammer that doesn't love nails, but it's also what is his motivation and what is. Yeah, I think exactly what you're saying. Where it's like where he is and why he's doing it. What's the intent? What's the actual real purpose behind it? And he's questioning. The thing that got him to question it was murder, but it was really what he dove into it more and found that it was actually the heart or the thing that was driving him to do the thing, because he's really good at it, right? He's really good at murder, and so he doesn't want to not like doing that. And you're exactly right, and now I will agree with you fully that this is the first little thing that, you know, the episode that sets him off for his arc for the next 2 seasons. For him to really feel.
I disagree. I disagree. I see what
but
you guys are.
But I think it's just because it's Brock, because he never actually like talks about it. But
right.
No,
so I think that's kind of what you're saying.
But what we're talking about is different. Like, what this episode is about is him feeling guilt over murder of nameless henchmen. Like, that's what this episode's talking about. That he murks the shit out of henchmen whenever they show up. And he continues to do that for OSI. He continues to do it for Sphinx. He never feels bad about that. What he starts to question is whether or not he wants to be, quote-unquote, Operation Rusty's Blanket. Like, does he want to be... Like, that I understand, but I don't think that's what he's learning in this episode. What he's learning here is humanity. Humanity has nothing to do with OSI or Sphinx, which he has no problem murdering like crazy. I think the arc that he goes on is, I want to be my own man, not a useless shill for these corporations. That has nothing to do with him feeling bad about murder that he does in this episode. Brock is fine killing people from here and to the end of time. He just doesn't want to do it for other people. He wants to murder for Brock.
Yeah,
he wants it to be his choice.
Yeah, I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because like okay, so like. I'm going to read this quote because I think we're all on the same page, but it's the quote that Hunter says, where he's like, we're going to go to our special ops heaven. And he's like, it's damn great. A G-Man Valhalla. There's trim and guns everywhere. We eat steak-flavored clouds and poop secrets. And you're a tool, boy. A tool built for a single purpose by the U.S. of shut your damn third eye for a reason. You can't teach a hammer to love nails, son. That dog don't hunt. And I feel like that kind of summarizes what we're all saying, which is he doesn't really, the murder part's okay. It's just more about like his role in that and where he stands kind of in the pipeline of that industry.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I guess I feel like what we're talking about and what they do in the episode I think we're giving the show a little rope that it didn't quite do. I feel
certainly. I think, this is definitely the first start of it, and I don't think they have this thing fully fleshed out. Certainly not here, and they will over time.
But I don't think this is the start of it. I think with what happens and where it goes, you can jump that this is the start of it, but I do not think this was intended to be the start of anything. Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I think that this is just a happy accident. Whereas like other things like 21 with Dr. Girlfriend, I feel like they're like, oh, there's something we can do with this. Whereas this one, it's just they had no intention of this being the start. I could be totally wrong. It's just the feel I get from the episode because especially with the ending of like how does he apologize? He takes Venturestein to a prostitute. Like there's just weird things that just don't feel like this leads to that. And I know it's a weird sticking point for me, but it's like I don't see it. I don't see the connection of where they were and here. And I feel like there's little band-aids that we can kind of make the jump, but
well, Brian,
I don't think it was intended.
I kind of agree with you, but I will say one thing, which is, what's the story that you love about it's the conference that we watched the video of, which is they were kind of tired of doing stuff for Brok where he rips a guy's vocal cords. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I think that it's starting in season 2 is where they're tired of doing a lot of the same stuff. And I think it all comes to fruition at the end of season 3. So I think that while you're right, I don't think this was the full point of it. I do think that this is where the kernel of that starts, both in the writer's room and in the show.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. Like,
not fully. I think that you're right. I don't think that they wrote this with the intention of going down that road, but I do think that they went back to this and went, that's actually a pretty good path for us to follow for Brok.
Yeah, that could be. Because what it feels like is if this was supposed to be that start, especially knowing where it ends, this wouldn't have been a B story. This wouldn't have been just like when we're not spending time with everything else in the episode. Because that's another thing with this episode is I feel like everything is a B story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which again is fine. Like I feel like I don't know why I need to apologize this episode. I still really enjoy it. I feel like everything just kind of,
It's just weird. Whereas like last episode, it's like everything also kind of felt like a B story, but a B story that everything led to the overall A story. Whereas this is just like, this is just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving into the end of this thing, at one point, talking just a little bit about Rusty, because we do have to talk about Rusty, because he kicks this whole episode off and really pushes Brok's murder thing to a point when he's like, bring me dead bodies. Go make me dead bodies.
Could you help me with the bodies thing?
My favorite thing in this episode, far and away, is Rusty's to-do list. Did you guys read his to-do list?
No.
So at one point, when he discovers that he has finished making Venturestein and he crosses something off his to-do list. And I had to pause it and write it down. And it's amazing. So Rusty's to-do list is, number 1, beat God at his own game, which that's the one he crosses
Amazing.
off. Number 2, get money. Number 3, increase my word power. Number 4, push-ups with an exclamation point. And number 5, make everything go my way.
God, even his to-do lists are depressing.
Like, I just love the make everything go my way.
Oh God.
Good luck, buddy.
That is a rock bottom to-do list for sure.
Just especially
push-ups.
God.
Push-ups.
But I mean, he beats God at his own game, so
yeah, that's why he crosses that one off.
Well, he accomplished that.
Yeah. And I feel like he would have crossed off the bottom one too, because there's a line where he's like, "I'm finally making everything go my way."
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, but they didn't show him cross that one off, so who knows?
Who knows?
Not yet.
Yeah. Anything else that we need to talk about this thing?
No.
I feel like we've hit everything.
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly can.
I think Dr. O had one of my favorite lines of this episode, where the Scooby gang is, looking around the corner and watching Dr. O enter his apartment. It's like, and he looks down and sees some junk mail. And he's like, "Who is Hector Marina? And why do I keep getting his junk mail?"
That is pretty good.
Isn't Hector
looking at Brok's
isn't
notes?
Hector the guy?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it was like one of those references where like, wow, if you didn't know who that character was, if you totally overlooked that, you it's just one of those lines. Be like,
wait, which character did I miss? Who's Hector?
Hector was the guy.
Oh, Hector!
The boxer that used to live in
yeah.
the manufacturing wing.
That took me a second.
That he just told him to leave, whatever,
I'm
2 years ago.
32?
I've never picked up on that. I've watched this so many times. Poor Hector.
Yeah, no, this was the first time that I actually caught. He's like, because I didn't even catch his name. And this time watching it, he was like, he said fucking Hector Marina.
Amazing.
Poor Hector. Oh, that's some good shit. The other thing that I totally missed in Brok's notes were that the Scooby Gang are supposed to be killers from the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah. Even the women?
It says he didn't really go too far into his notes. So the Scooby-Doo crew is an odd mix of killers from the 70s and 80s. Ted Bundy and the Son of Sam, complete with talking dog.
The Son of Sam is my culture reference.
It's one of those things where I'm such a Scooby-Doo, like, when I was a kid, that was my favorite cartoon for a long time, so I just see Scooby-Doo, and anything else they could try and do with the characters is just lost on me because of Scooby-Doo.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into pop culture stuff, and I think you have yours right there.
I do.
Don't you?
Mine is the dog and Scooby are the... like Son of Sam. The story of Son of Sam is that he said that his neighbor's dog was talking to him and that's why he killed all those people, which turns out to he recanted that. He was like, no, that wasn't true. But I love the line, which is, no, yours is the wheel of blood, yours is the sword of Michael. And it's like, Jesus Christ, this episode is so dark and depressing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't listen to all of his quotes just because they're fucking insane.
They're grim.
They're very grim.
Yeah, but the dog's like, the hair must be punished. You're like, what's happening? Yep. I don't feel safe.
No, it's a Son of Sam reference. Ugh. It's depressing.
I mean, that makes a hell of a lot more sense. All right, so my pop culture reference is nowhere near as depressing as Son of Sam. I just went for there's a movie out there that not all of people have seen that's about cloning Hitler, and it's called The Boys from Brazil. And there's a part where the Scooby-Doo gang realizes that Hank and Dean are clones, and you guys aren't ghosts. You're the boys from fucking Brazil. It's a great line. It's kind of a throwaway, especially because later they do try to clone Hitler. So that actually does come back.
As a dog.
Yeah. I love Hitler and Hitler loves me.
Oh, no.
I'm so excited to get to that episode, and we have a whole season in between it.
Yep. That was pretty crazy.
That's such a good one. But Graham, pop culture reference.
So one of my was Hector Marina, and just the idea of junk mail, I think, was just kind of silly. But also the opening of this as Ted and the gang roll up to the Venture place, and then Ted says, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, which is obviously a reference to Hamlet, which I think is kind of funny. But that was
that one works. I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those smart I mean, obviously this episode has a lot of smart, well thought out, ridiculous, and yet extremely dark references.
Yeah, and
that was kind of one of the lighter ones.
Yeah, exactly.
What does it say about the episode when Hamlet is like
exactly?
All right, let's do a quick round of plugs and get out of this thing. I'll do mine as quick as we can. Listen to After the Hype, the show that started it all. Listen to Samwise, the show that hopped on with us at Venture Bros. And read our articles at athpod.com. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can always email athpodcast@gmail.com, and you can get really contact any of us there. And that's it for me. Nick, anything to plug?
Just ACO, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's it.
Graham, you plugging anything these days?
Nope. Still no. Still a hard pass.
All right. Well, then thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week with part 1 of the season finale. Bye!
Adios.
Bye.